Hello, 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 everybody. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in this world. I am here with a very special guest today. I am here with FairHEX. FairHEX, how are you today? Good afternoon.
Hi, thanks for having me on. Great, glad to be there.
Absolutely, and what a great time to have a stream about hex and pulse chain when Richard Hart basically just came out with a tweet about 10 minutes ago that
Yeah,
they were able to destroy the bug in the Aragon sync, which is great. And that's we're treading along, man. So I want to ask you, how did you get into crypto and blockchain, and what ideals and principles of this space aligned with your own ideals on freedom and personal economic liberty?
that's a good question. Actually, maybe the background. Maybe
Sure.
I start with a little bit of my background. I started in the real estate economy very early in Germany, and I started to work right from the beginning, not with the housing market. I was working with companies that were dealing in real estates like shopping malls, city towers, all these kind of bigger projects, commercial investors, institutional tenants, and to deal as a mid or early 20-year-old boy, actually, with these eminences, with these people from the higher echelon. You have to come with something. You have to bring something to the table. You have to study. You have to learn. So I got the highest degree that you can have in real estate economy, and that led me very soon, actually, to, let's say, to project development, because you're not ending up as a broker, and you start developing projects. You learn more. You develop mineral water wells in the Tuscany area and these kind of projects. And soon later, I understood I don't need to only be working in a real estate economy only. You can also expand into other fields.
Mhm.
So I had my businesses as a project developer since my 20s. And that sooner or later, that led me to crypto. And I was so occupied by all the businesses and by all the stuff that I somehow missed the launch of crypto back then. Really. And I feel myself as a latecomer with 2015, 16, somewhere in that range. And I told this story before. A friend asked me to join with his referral link to some crypto project that he offered me. And I understood very soon that didn't work out. But what I understood also is I need 2, 3 days to digest this paradigm shift of decentralization. I understood immediately there is a censorship resistance. There is at least some ideals that we all connect with a better world. I mean, 99% of the population in this world, we want to have a better world.
Of
We
course.
don't want, right? We don't want to have conflicts. We want to solve it peacefully, and we have to solve conflicts peacefully in the 21st century. And I think the monetary system, as it were, is one of the reasons, or is their main reason why things are not going as the majority of the population wants it. So I think cryptocurrency, the idea of cryptocurrency, of the transparency of blockchain, is something that we all can relate to, and that we can see that there is a possibility to create a better world.
Absolutely. Very well
Many
said.
things.
Very well said.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So no, and that led me to the first project. So I stumbled in like a noob. Doesn't matter what I did before, but I was a noob, and I believed too many things. And 2017, I think I didn't miss out on any ICO,
In those
and
days.
I learned on that, and that was actually how I understood. It's not that easy as it seems. It's not that idealistic as it seems. But to my understanding, every time a new economy, a new field pops up or comes out into existence, there are parties that are taking advantage of, until this is substituted, or it, until genuine programs come up, genuine companies, genuine profitable programs. And that is, to my understanding, the time of 2018, 2019, where the first steps came into life, where the first applications came into life, because we don't want to only relate on price oscillations. We want to put our money somewhere in order to get some more out,
Of course.
basically, right?
Absolutely. And I remember vividly 2017 with the ICO craze. I do remember that wholeheartedly, for both the good and the bad. And it seems like there's a lot of people that I've been interviewing that have this background in real estate, and it seems like they go in tandem with cryptocurrency and real estate investing, surrounding the ideals of economic freedom, paying yourself through ownership of one's whether it be keys and coins or keys to a home. It seems like there's this relatability between these two ethoses surrounding investment prospects. And on the topic of, I guess you could say, personal economic sovereignty, like you're saying, that comes from real estate, that can come from cryptocurrency if you play the game right. I wanted to ask you, like, how did you get into HEX and Pulse Chain? Like, what enticed you about this product, and why did you decide to join this community specifically?
That's pretty easy. One of the most significant figures in YouTube back then already was Richard Hart.
Mm-hmm.
So when he speaks, everyone hears a bell ring, right? When he says something, we all can relate to it. Mm-hmm. It's not that it is necessarily new, but he was one of the first people who formulated it, who brought it in a body of context, and who were able to convey a message, and who were able to have a compact understanding of the zeitgeist, of the things that were going on back then, as a HEX maximalist. And then later, of course, you follow and you hang on his lips, and you see what he's coming up with. And new things that came up with him were, of course, HEX. So from the first moment that he mentioned that project, from the first moment that he started streaming about it, when he became less Bitcoin maximalist, so that was actually the time that I joined the idea of there could be something on the horizon, especially that I'm holding some Bitcoin and I might have the chance to get free of his currency. That seems to be something risk-free where I can participate in something. And later, I saw that on many exchanges, there were for example, Bitcoin.com. If you went there back then at the launch of HEX, there was a situation that many people were dealing with cent amounts. They were trading HEX, but then suddenly they realized they couldn't transfer it. They couldn't get it back from out of the exchange because the exchange fees or the transfer fees were so high. I remember there were 50,000, 47,000 HEX as a transfer fee. Mm-hmm. And so I was playing the vacuum there, and I was buying all that little thing here, 20,000 there, 50,000 there, 70,000. And I accumulated quite a nice number there, besides the AA lobby. And that brought me in a situation that I suddenly find myself as a holder, not as a viewer anymore. But I really started to have something. Then I thought, why not have more? It makes sense. And then I understood the mechanics of it, because as a project developer, you understand nobody launches this kind of project for nothing if it doesn't make sense. So absolutely. I got deeper and deeper in it, and I saw very early in these days also the first dApps for HEX coming up. And these dApps, they were promising, and I was still a noob in that field, but I understood, be early, put your money somewhere in, and you get some more out. And this is how I started working with not only with HEX, but also with third-party programs. And I had not one bad experience back then.
No, I'm glad to hear that. And you bring up a really important point here. You bring up the fact about, you brought up at the end third party projects. And this is something that I've tried my best to give third party projects that are legitimate, that are looking to help hexagons, that are looking to help pulsagons, that are looking to bring value and legitimacy to this community and further its expansion. And I've been trying to do that since September of 2021 now. It's been almost a year and a half. So what you're creating is something that's very interesting to me because it benefits hexagons. And as an individual who's been in cryptocurrency for a while, and that you said you brought up Richard Hart being one of the most well-known YouTubers back in the day. I wanted to ask you about FairHEX. So you created FairHEX, and what made you decide to create this product for hexagons? And what is it exactly? Like, what is FairHEX?
Oh, it's a very complex topic, and we can talk for hours about it because I love talking about it. I love conveying the message.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, it is to make it very short and simple, and later I can elaborate a little bit more.
Sure.
It is a staking portal for HEX. So when you have HEX and you have already stakes, or you are used as a staker, or you are hesitant these days because of the price fluctuations, you want to stay flexible, you can stake HEX with FairHEX or through FairHEX, and you receive not only, of course, some value adding, you are not only receiving some bonus, but at the moment we have the incentive that the first fourth of the total supply can be minted. It means we have a total supply of 21 million. Most of this, more than 90% of it is still locked. And what we do is we let stakers, 5 million of it, we let it mint for free, basically. And that is something very valuable. And I can also say later on a little bit more about why you should have FairHEX and how it works. But the point being is, who in his right mind or her right mind would come up with a project which would not serve interests? We all know that saying, if you want to become a millionaire, solve 1 million problems, and you become, for every one that you solve this problem, you get $1, and this way you become a millionaire. It's not that we are striving to become, that we are striving for certain numbers, but what we do is we know and we understand we cannot come up with something that is useless. We have to address the interests and the wishes of others.
Exactly.
And this is what we do. And you said something actually what was good. What was interesting, these third-party programs in general, they need to have attention. They need also to have acceptance from the community. Because what we are observing is that HEX does a lot of effort. Whoever, different HEX parties of the community, they're doing a lot of effort in onboarding. They're doing a lot of effort in advertising for new holders. But we also should always look on the adoption side of where can you put your HEX? What can you do to the as an inventor? What can you do for the ecosystem that you can offer more opportunities to lock HEX away? Because this is what we need to do, right? So not only onboarding new holders, but also helping to make the ecosystem more attractive. And this is the moment where I talk not only about FairHEX, I'm talking about the mindset that influencers like you are helping to convey, that other influencers might also open up the minds of the HEX community of many holders to say, let's look at it. Let's educate ourselves. Let's convey more education instead of dogma, right?
Yes.
This is actually where we try to work as an advocate in general for this. Enough people will recognize us. We're not serving everyone's interest, but we are solving a lot of interests. So
that's a very good point.
yeah. FairHEX basically functions in very simple way. You stake your HEX. When HEX is staked, our contract is putting it right into the official HEX staking contract. Okay. It is integrated in FairHEX. As a result, our staking contract receives back the principal and the yield. We funnel, it is an immutable contract. That means we have no possession over the principal. The principal goes right back to your wallet, and the yield is funneled to the DEX, to the FairHEX HEX DEX. That means it gives it constant buy pressure on our token. So it's converted. Now you are actually here in order to get more HEX, right? We are talking about HEX. Now you have FairHEX. In order to make sense of it, we are adding a significant bonus. You know, the bonus can vary depending on the total staking volume. These are details, but you get a significant bonus on the one side. If you want to sell it, you can sell it. The total yield plus your bonus, and you have 5% expenses. That means you're paying a tax for selling. This is where the reflection part comes in. But the reflection part is also the holder incentive. Because, of course, if you take a tax, it is distributed to either stabilize and or to gratify users or holders. In our case, half of the tax goes right into the LP, which is permanently locked.
Great.
And helps to grow over time. And all the HEX which comes in is only in the LP, right? And that also increases the value of our token over time as more adoption happens. And so the point being with FairHEX holding is that when you hold FairHEX, 2.5% of every transaction is distributed among holders. And now people might say, how much is this for me? How, does it make sense? And I would like to get a little bit deeper into this, because there is this misconception out there. Everyone knows that line. We want to have the maximum outcome with a minimum of investment, right?
Of course.
That does not exist. In the whole universe, it doesn't exist. We have two economical principles. That means we have a set goal that we want to achieve, and we want to achieve this with the lowest effort or budget or investment. And then the other economical principle is we have a given or a set budget, and we want to achieve the highest possible goal. But both doesn't work at the same time. So what we actually have as FairHEX, you can see FairHEX minting phase as the first economical principle. That means you set a goal. How much in the future do you want to participate from all the transactions? How much do you want to have holder share? What is the right goal to set right now? And we assist in this in the Telegram chat to formulate these goals. So as a team member and as a co-founder of the actual inventor, we support people in formulating these goals, meaning how much pool share, how much holder share do you want to have? How much do you want to earn from all future transaction fees, which is significant over time?
Absolutely.
We're talking about as long as FairHEX exists, as long as HEX is staked somewhere, right? So the first economical principle means you define how much holder share you want to have. Is it 1%? Is it 0.5%? Is it 5%? What is achievable for you? And then you understand how much HEX you have to stake in order to achieve that goal. Mm-hmm. You can mint it for free, or if there's a gap between your goal and the achievable amount that you can mint, you can also buy, but basically mint it, right? So this is how you can build your holder share. And once these 5 million have been minted, and once your goal has been achieved at this moment, we have a lot of new stakers over time. So, if everything goes right, that's our goal. And that means, of course, that the more people join, because we have a higher bonus, we pay more per stake as a yield, a bonus. That means you receive more HEX at the end if you sell it. So when people sell, all the holders receive dividends constantly, constantly, over and over and over and over and over again. So now, actually, this is principle two. You have a given amount, you have a set budget of, you have a setup, and now you strive to get as much as possible out of that setup. That means you have a bunch of FairHEX. What do you do with it? Either future stakers try to catch up with your holder share and they buy. That means the value of your holdings goes up. So you can either sell it by then, if it's smart for you, or you hold, because a lot of stakers will sell it, will sell their yield for more HEX, because this is what we are here for eventually, right? So this is the point. That means the more people sell, the more you receive in constant dividends. So there are a lot of incentives. There are a lot of let's say game theories involved, how to play it, how to run your holdings. But it's certainly that attractive that the inventor and I, as a co-founder, our benefit on the platform is that we participate as stakers. This is why we're here.
It seems like there's a massive principle here that I think really highlights what you've created as a co-founder and the embodiment of what Hex's principle conveys since its inception. And I think it's the more you stay in delayed gratification, the more economic value can be accrued in a lot of different ways. And I see that with the way FairHEX, the way you conveyed it, operates, how it incentivizes people to stake their HEX and also garner rewards as a result of that staking through FairHEX. And I find it to be valuable because, as we know, one of the main tools of HEX is to stake it and to build, excuse me, and to build HEX stakes. I'm sorry, build HEX not shares. What am I saying? HEX coins through yield and through delayed gratification. So I want to discuss delayed gratification in association to what you've been talking about. Is delayed gratification seems to be a crucial topic, obviously, around the hexagon sphere. Now, based on what you've been discussing, in your opinion, how does FairHEX embody delayed gratification?
That's important. That's a very important question. And of course, if you want to do any business in this world, if you want to create something, it takes time.
Yes.
Right? To do something good, it takes time. If you want to create value, you have to either create something out of nothing very quickly, or it has to mature. So since FairHEX is very close to HEX, and it is basically not pegged, but it is bound to HEX, especially through the LP, through the staking pool, we have actually very similar methods to achieve or to serve delayed gratification. That means not only by the yield itself, but also by the rewards that holders receive. And as I just described before, we have a situation that once you hold your FairHEX and you're not selling it, you will receive dividends as long as people stake HEX for FairHEX. And I don't know any program currently which offers more advantages in the whole ecosystem for HEX stakers. Maybe there is a let's not talk about 555 at the moment, but when we are talking about people who are undecided, people who say, okay, we stake for 30 days during the minting phase, and after the minting phase, it's open end. You can stake for the usual hex conditions. And you can definitely see that a lot of users coming regularly who hear about FairHEX, they do the inquiries and they stake through us because of more benefits, not only because of the minting phase and the free FairHEX that you receive right now just by doing your stake, just by the start stake transaction, but also through the higher bonus. And we are talking between 20% and 40%, depending on the total staking volume on the platform. A higher net yield for your stake. And this makes sense in the tokenomics. If you look deeper into it, if you contact us, we are always there to respond to it. So yeah, delayed gratification ad infinitum.
Absolutely. And I think
Right.
that's very important regarding the notion of how delayed gratification is embodied by this project. And I think that's why there's been a lot of positive reception surround FairHEX, because it's taken the principles of HEX, ingrained it in FairHEX, and has synergistically created a correlation between FairHEX and the beneficiaries of those who own HEX. So I agree 100% that there's this paradigm that you've created that really creates a very familiar ethos surrounding FairHEX in accordance to what has created a following and has created a community surrounding HEX and its principles thereof. And not only that, and by the way, guys, make sure to check out FairHEX on Twitter. I have the link in the description. Also, make sure to check out the FairHEX website, which I also have in the description. And make sure to check out the FairHEX Telegram, which I also have in the description. And make sure to share this video and like it if you find this valuable and you're in HEX again and you are going and you're benefiting from FairHEX. It's important that people get this information. And it seems like FairHEX embodies a lot of values surrounding HEX and delayed gratification. And you brought up something before that also is something that's conveyed very frequently surrounding whether a product or a coin is risky or not, surrounding liquidity. And you said something that was very refreshing to hear, is that the liquidity is locked. And I want to ask you then, because then the liquidity is locked, because that was going to be part of my question. But you also, I wanted to ask you, does FairHEX have any admin keys? How many FairHEX exist? And what made you decide to choose this amount of the supply? And what made you decide to lock the liquidity? Like this, it seems like a lot of these principles are very related to HEX, and I like what I'm hearing. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that.
I think this is the time where I should talk a little bit about the inventor.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. The inventor is a very respected developer in this sphere and is a developer for HEX applications since a very long time, actually, since the beginning of HEX. So that developer is someone who breathes HEX. And of course, is not only having user interests in mind, but also has his higher ideals. So when we are talking together, we are always coming up and finding out, yeah, this also serves that ideal of us, right? Something to keep the world clean or to bring it to a better state. So in this situation, I started or we got to know each other around 3 years ago, right at the beginning of HEX or short after. And since then we know each other, and I respect him very much for the ideals that he's carrying. So yes, of course, we try to fulfill with every product that we are working together, that it's immutable, no admin keys, it's open source, which is not necessarily in every case the best solution. In our case, it is. But this morning, I had in another group, I was having a very interesting talk about, what if we want to build something on top of it? What if we find out another principle that serves the users better? Should we sacrifice the possibility to add this to the contract by locking it or not? And sometimes, to my humble understanding, it does not always make sense to give away the admin keys. But in our case, in FairHEX, we have a tradition when we are working together on projects, it's always without any admin keys. It's very simple to understand. It's closed contracts, open source, and of course also the liquidity pool is permanently locked, which has a nice implication actually, because many platforms they're dealing with, we burn tokens here, we burn tokens there, and burn is since years we're talking about burns, and sometimes it does not even make sense in the long run. But here it serves something. That means 2.5% of every cell goes right into, or half of the reflection tax goes right into the LP, and it feeds it permanently. That means that permanently the volume goes in there and makes a burn wallet obsolete. To the opposite, it actually strengthens the tradability, it strengthens the value over long term, and that is, I think, a very ingenious solution to leave it there instead of funneling it to a burn wallet to be deflationary. Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely immutable.
No, I'm glad to hear that, because when you hear about the first principles of cryptocurrency, not your keys, not your coins, immutability, being anonymous, not your keys, not your coins, peer-to-peer transactions, decentralization, make sure that there aren't admin keys, make sure that the liquidity is locked, because there could be some sinister things going on if there isn't. So it seems like there's a lot of parallels here between FairHEX and HEX, and I see why there's a very big positive reception surrounding FairHEX and its intricacies and how it benefits hexagons who stake their coins. And I want to ask you then, and before I ask you my last question is, guys, I see there's 30 people in here. Make sure to share this video out. Make sure to share this to hexagons that you know that are long-term stakers, because FairHEX can benefit them. Make sure to check out the Telegram, the Twitter, and also, excuse me, the Telegram, the Twitter, and the main website. I have them all listed in the description. So if you like what you're hearing, make sure to check it out. And my last question to you is as time progresses and innovations continue to grow in this space and the HEX community continues to grow, we have the onset of Pulse Chain, especially with just the announcement 20 minutes ago. I wanted to ask you then, it's important to have a forward-thinking approach and a perspective of speculating where you want to be. And my question to you is where would you like to see FairHEX and HEX by the end of 2023?
Let's talk about HEX first.
Sure.
I would like to see the HEX community grows further. We have a very good starting point because many people come together already. And it is one of the most significant communities in the whole crypto ecosystem. It is there and it has to be taken serious. And where I would like to contribute is, and I think I share this with the inventor of the program as well, we would like to see that HEX influencers, that more have a chance to come up, that they have relevant information to share, and that we as a community help to educate newcomers. Because we are forming in the whole crypto, we are forming an industry, a whole branch of economy. And since, you cannot do this without skills, at least not in safe waters. We need to learn, and not only we have to learn more and more, and not we only went through all the 2017 and early things.
I remember that very, I don't know if I want to say fondly, but I remember 2017.
Right. Getting up 2 o'clock in the morning for the next lending ICO.
Exactly. And the funny part is that I wasn't even I tried to get into as many ICOs as I could, but I couldn't because I live in New York. In New York, basically everything is banned. So,
Yeah, yeah. Back
unfortunately,
then already. So yes, I would pledge for more education.
yes,
That we welcome people, and then we are not letting them alone or telling them, yeah, now you're a Hexagon, but you're a Hexagon, and now come on, we have to work. We have to work. You're entering an economy. You also, you might have just the money as a reason to come. You might have also ideals. Still, we have people joining crypto because of the censorship resistance, of the ideals that it represents. But basically, we have to show them how things work, how they can verify programs that they are joining, because there are many good projects out there, and at the moment there are so many we can't see the forest for the trees, I think. Sometimes, especially now with polls, so many good projects, so many projects that you have to verify how good they really are, and so many sacrifices, or sacrifice projects. How
yep,
can we evaluate something?
it's
What
hard.
do we have to know, right? And we would like to become part of that whole movement, where also people recognize FairHEX as a platform which makes which has very good reasons to stake your hex via FairHEX for more benefits, for experiencing another way of delayed gratification, but still related to hex. So yes, we would like to see a massive follower growing and a participant growing. And as a reference, I can say, when it comes to our safety points, we had this week or last week, we had a staker joining with more than 20 million hex. So this is
That's
so
awesome.
far the biggest stake that was done on the platform. And I think that gives a lot of safety indications on the platform, because a staker for 20 million hex is not a joker. They
No,
do their
no, it's
homework.
not.
Doesn't matter how big they are, right?
I don't even know what that's even worth. That's probably worth like shit.
$1.3 million.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's not a joke. Not at all. No, that's more
Yeah,
than most people make in a lifetime. So yeah, that's not a joke. That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
it
It's something
is.
to be proud of. That's something to be
Yeah,
proud of. Eh,
and it is also good reference,
It is.
actually, for the safety
It
of the
is.
platform. Yeah,
It is. It really is beneficial to bring up the safety, and it also is very beneficial to bring up the fact that what you're creating or what you have created is something that perpetuates longevity in this space. It incentivizes people to stay around longer. And as you know, you've been in crypto longer than me, since 2015, 2016. I got in 2017. That hype, community, and utility and narratives are what make a cryptocurrency survive and thrive. And the way you create monetary energy is by expanding the community. And if you can't expand the community through incentivization measures, well, people will go to the next big thing. And that's just a fact in human nature. We go by trends. And I agree with you 100,000%. And what you're creating here is something that's very valuable for hexagons because it incentivizes long-term applicability, and at the same time, it allows you to excuse me, it allows you to facilitate another monetary incentivization method for hexagons. So it would be counter if they find out about fair hex. It's another incentivization measure to keep people in the community, which I find to be very valuable in a network of 23,000 cryptocurrencies. So what you're creating is something, well, what you have created is something that I think is special. I think is beneficial to the Hex community, and I really want to say, man, I know we've been planning this stream for a while, and I'm very grateful that you've come on with me and spent the last 45 minutes with me. And I think there's 32 people in here for what I've seen. Um, but I do want to say, for those who are in here and find value in what FairHex is conveying, please go in the description and check out the FairHex Telegram, the FairHex website, the FairHex Twitter, and make sure to like and share this video if you find value in this product, and make sure to follow them on Twitter as well. So I want to say thank you so much for educating me on this.
Thank you for having us on and me representing it. I would like to give something back because
Of course.
going back to the macro view, zooming out, when we're talking about the ecosystem, about the crypto world, when we're talking about the HEX world. So we are two different departments, basically, who are fulfilling the idea of it. That means you come with an open mind, and you come with as an advocate for third-party platforms, which helps the whole ecosystem in general, which is very important. We have a product that fulfills user interests or staker interests, investor interests. So we work actually already together in an ecosystem as it should be. And this is a very great experience being on your show. And I like your questions in every stream.
I appreciate that, man. I try to keep it as engaging as possible, and try to not make it a podcast that succumbs to drudgery, because there's no value in that. And I definitely would love to have you on sometime in the near future. I appreciate you educating me. I appreciate you, and I think there's value in a project showing their face. That's not to say that if someone is anonymous doesn't mean their project is illegitimate, but it's very refreshing to see a face to a value of a project, because this is crypto. We do value in anonymity, but also anonymity could lead to sinister or nefarious intent or malice. And I think there's value in showing a face to a product. So I want to say, again, thank you so much for your time. And I can't thank you enough for what you've done for Hexicans. And it brings more people into this space, into this community through incentivization. And your experience also in real estate and being in cryptocurrency for almost 10 years, which is like 300 years in regular time. So I want to say thank you again, buddy, for your time.
Thank you, Corey. And it was absolutely my pleasure. And subscribe to his channel, people.
Thank you. Absolutely.
It's always interesting.
Absolutely. And guys, make sure before you leave to please go in the description and excuse me. Even this embodies, I gotta be honest, wasn't too really interested in FairHEX, but this dude is a genuine Hexican. I might start a stake through FairHEX to support the community. That's what I like to hear. So
beautiful.
People resonate with you as a person. So guys, before you leave, I have the description of FairHEX, the Twitter link. Follow them on Twitter. Check out their website and check out their Telegram, and make sure to like and share this video. I want to say thank you guys so much for your time, and thank you, FairHEX, most importantly.
My pleasure. Absolutely. Corey, was a good experience.
Absolutely, buddy. You be well and have a good rest of your day. I see it's day there and it's almost midnight here.
All right. It's noon here.
There you go.
Take care.
Take care, buddy.
Thank you.